Network. Peace out, America.
Okay.
Say the Panthers. They are there on the ground, boarding their flight to London just yesterday. Kyle Allen facing the Bucs for the first time this season. Cam started in their Week 2 loss. Tiffany Blackman made the trip out to London. So excited that you are there for all of the festivities. It's always fun to have an international game on the slate. Back-to-back weeks, of course, in this 2019 season. The Panthers have now officially landed there in London, just like you have. What's on the schedule today?
Okay, well, they arrived at 7:30 this morning local time, and their first stop will be right here at the Harrow School for an NFL flag event. That's for the league's flag football program. Now, quick history nugget for you. The Harrow School was founded under a royal charter by Queen Elizabeth back in 1572, and the players, they're just now arriving here to this school. They'll go through a walkthrough before taking this field for that flag event. And for many of these Panthers players, this is their first trip to London, and they are riding that Kyle Allen train internationally. You know, this will be Allen's first trip to London, where he'll have to deal with the wind like I am, but Allen said he's not worried about that trip over here, going overseas for the first time. And look, he's done a really good job of filling in for the injured Cam Newton. He is 3-0 as a starter for the Panthers. But you mentioned it, Kay. This is going to be his first time getting to face the Bucs. And we know at that team, they like to get after the quarterback. They have the highest blitz rate in the NFL, 34 quarterback pressures this season, but Allen has done quite well under pressure when facing the blitz this year. He completed 62% of his passes and has 3 touchdowns. But again, 3-0 as a starter for the Panthers this season.
Tiff, I'm loving that hair blowing in the wind. It's like a Beyonce video right now. You know, and speaking of that, I'm crazy in love with Christian McCaffrey. He was doing this thing all over the Jags, through the air, on the ground, and we saw him score that touchdown while flipping into the end zone and landing on his back. What can you tell us about how he's feeling heading into this weekend?
Well, I did speak with Coach Ron Rivera just before they took off for London yesterday. Rivera told me that Christian's doing just fine, that his back is a little sore. But he said throughout that flight, they were going to have the training staff checking in on him. He was also going to get different forms of treatment on that flight. Now, he did tell me that McCaffrey has gone through all of his reps in the walkthroughs, but he was out during practice yesterday. That was a Wednesday. I should also point out that McCaffrey didn't practice last Wednesday either, with Rivera telling me that Wednesday being an off day is going to be the new norm for Christian McCaffrey, and that's because the guy needs a break. He does it all for the Panthers. He's leading the league in rushing and scrimmage yards. He has close to 300 receiving yards this season, but against the Bucs, you know, they had his number in that first meeting. McCaffrey was held to 37 rushing yards in that game. That was his least productive game of the season, and no touchdowns, but we'll see how he bounces back against them on Sunday.
We appreciate the update there on his off day. Sort of, and fans were a little bit worried about that, but giving him rest sounds like a great idea. And how great is the NFL media for sending Tiffany Blackman to London on her birthday?
Hey!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tiffany Blackman. You guys
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk to you in a bit. Tiffany Blackman back here at the breakfast table. Here's a question for you guys. It's presented by Oikos 000. Who needs to fuel their hustle other than your singing voices here in Week 6? Kyle,
I was tongue-tied.
I know.
For the first time ever.
Verklempt all of a sudden? What's the problem?
The 10 seconds in every year that someone sings happy birthday to you are the longest 10 seconds of your year. I just find, I'm always like, come on, wrap it up, go, go, go. Tiffany, we love you, though. Happy birthday. I'm going to look at Carson Wentz, not only because Eagles-Vikings is a really big game. This game is being played in Minnesota. Let's look at some highlights of Carson Wentz the last time the Eagles were in Minnesota. That's how he spent the whole game, guys. This is the return to the scene of the Super Bowl, in which Carson Wentz stood there and watched the most glorious Super Bowl maybe ever played and stood next to Nick Foles, did all he could. Guys, on this broadcast, there's going to be every replay. There'll be the Trey Burton. They'll be in the same end zone. The last time Carson Wentz was in this stadium, he was covered in confetti that he really didn't earn in this game. And he always played it modest, and he played it respectfully, but you cannot tell me there will not be memories creeping back in and maybe a little something to prove.
Ooh.
And on the flip side of it, guys, the schedule czars really took it to the Eagles right now, because not only are they at Minnesota, then they go at Dallas, at Buffalo, 3 weeks in a row. You got to knock some of these off, especially with Dallas spinning their tires right now. There's going to be a reckoning between Philly and Dallas. Don't drop these games and let up Dallas for any air. Carson Wentz between the ears is kind of an emotional weekend in a sense, but also practically, you got to have this one. Kick Dallas while they're down. Eagles, Vikings.
All right, I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon. Here's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, Melvin came back. He didn't play. Last week, a total of 38 yards. He's playing the Steelers. They haven't allowed a rusher for more than 80 yards in the game. But it's much deeper than that. Forget about the numbers. Forget about what he's done over the last 3 weeks. He had a quote that was very telling about how he feels right now. Check out this quote. And this pretty much encapsulates everything that he's going through. I'm definitely motivated. No one cared about Melvin Gordon was out. It was all about Zeke. That ain't no hate. That's America's team. But some players will talk shows that care less, talk about it. Listen, you got some people in your corner, and then they're in your corner 1 second, and the next second, they're hating on you. You got a lot of people hating on you. The best way is to go out there and shut them up. I remember what everyone said.
Yeah?
He hasn't talked this much in a long time, and he's been through a lot. Sitting out, everybody attacking him, the team don't need you, Austin Eckler's doing his thing. He's an idiot. Why doesn't he just show up and play? And then he gets on the field, and he's not playing that well. So right now, I feel like the most motivated running back is Melvin Gordon. Let's see what he does up against the Steelers.
Philip Rivers, after that loss to the Broncos, said Melvin Gordon looked like it was his first game back, and I'm sure that Melvin Gordon would say the same thing. I don't know that they're not happy with him, but they definitely need him to fuel his hustle. All of the Chargers do. I love that you went Melvin Gordon, because I'm going to go right to a 38-year-old quarterback who's in his contract year, who now Mike Pouncey's on IR. Russell Okung is not back. They've been hit by Hunter Henry injury after injury without Melvin Gordon to start the season, and they're sitting there at 2-3. If you love the NFL, a little part of you, even if you're in the AFC West and you're not a Chargers fan, has to root for Philip Rivers. Eli Manning is benched. You don't have Drew Brees out there right now. You're looking at all these quarterbacks as changing of the guard to the young guys. Doesn't part of you just want Philip Rivers to win one, to get one? He's out there. They've been bitten with injuries. They've had to go on long stints on the road last year. They faced layers and layers of adversity. And Philip Rivers always shows up. He did not have a great game against the Broncos. He threw a pair of interceptions that were brutal. But this team has to find it in them. Keenan Allen has a lot of things that he fights against and things that motivate him. Melvin Gordon does. It should motivate them to let's work together to get Philip Rivers where he needs to go. They've been here before. They might go on a run. The AFC West, it helps them that the Chiefs, of course, lost to the Colts in Week 5. Let's get this together. You've got a game, a premier marquee game, Sunday Night Football. I need Philip Rivers to play at his best. They won't lose without that. But the rest of this team has to feel, Peter, some kind of way to get Philip Rivers what he needs before he ends up walking away from the game at some point.
Got to beat the Steelers at home on Sunday Night Football with everyone watching. With all the Steelers injuries and what their guy going on their quarterback spot, Philip Rivers needs to win that game. Very interesting game in that 4 o'clock window on Sunday between the Rams and the 49ers. I don't think anybody in August circled that as the game of the week for Week 6. But Rams 49ers suddenly has a ton of stakes. The Rams come in here having lost 2 straight games. 49ers undefeated. And I'm looking at George Kittle. And not so much George Kittle, the guy who has been carrying defenders on his back and making plays on the end around like this one. George Kittle needs to set the tone because not only is Joe Staley out, not only is Kyle Juszczyk out, Mike McClinchy, the starting right tackle, is now out 4 to 6 weeks. Their 3 best blockers for Jimmy Garoppolo are out. George Kittle, I don't even need to see you catch the ball. I need to see you throw your body around and someone stop that Rams pass rush. This game, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are not on this game. Kevin Burkhardt and Charles Davis are not on this game. This was not a game that was circled by Fox executives to be like the game of the week. All respect, and I love these guys. Stockton and Schlereth are on this game. They're going to call the hell out of this game, but it's not what anyone expected to be the premier game out of the week.
For Schlereth, too, as the O-lineman with all those injuries down in the Niners.
That's exactly right.
Perfect.
Stink Schlereth is going to be on the call, and Dick Stockton, who's seen a million games before. This is one of those games that the NFL really snuck up on us, but it has a ton of stakes, and I think George Kittle, for all the glory we give him on the show and for all the fun tweets with The Rock, I don't think a lot of fans at home have seen George Kittle play in a big game. Niners have not been relevant for 2 years.
You're right.
George Kittle,
good point.
For all the Travis Kelce love, all the Zach Ertz love, all the Gronk love in recent years, you have to step up and show America you are the man, not just with your pass hands and your catching, but with your blocking as well. I can't wait for Rams-Niners. Let's do it.
I feel like my hustle is fueled after this segment. We were so excited to be hours away from Thursday night action. Nate, it is not often that we get a Burleson on a defense.
Yeah, especially a Tom